like an idiot real quick. Yeah. So yeah, apparently a little bit unfocused today. Sitting here trying to figure out why I couldn't get the mouse on this computer to move, because I'm using the mouse on this computer to try to move it. So the two computer problem, I guess. All right. So moving back into story writing. Outlining. We're not really doing any heavy writing right now. So yesterday we were playing around with rewriting Buffy the Vampire Slayer, this TV series predominantly, maybe the movie. So we started with the idea of Buffy the Vampire Slayer as a young female character who starts out as sort of a joke. The original joke of the series was a movie that was made into the area and whatnot. But as you expand further, you develop the monsters to be, oh, these are actual different cultural, I mean, they're still monsters. They still want to destroy humanity. But culturally, they have their own cultures and societies. So that was a thing. And Angel expanded on that a lot more, I think. And maybe we'll include that in this idea. But for right now, how do we start this? How do we frame this in a way? All right, so what I want this to be is teenage girl. Now here's the real important question for this. If we start with a teenage girl who's going to become the savior of the world, but approach it with that same sort of like snarky look that Buffy started with, like a humorous approach to, there's no way this Valley girl is going to be the one that saves the world. She can't be the chosen one. That's not okay. And if we start from that premise of trying to achieve a similar effect, like it's hard to figure out the right way to do this, because you have that you can't really do like a goth, like emo kid, because that kind of fits the dark idea of being bound to a demon. And like you could, if you look at something like a Daria type character, which I've never seen the series, but I've seen enough people culturally referring to the character that I don't think that type of character is what we're looking for. This cynical personality isn't what we're looking for. We want somebody who's kind of goofy and lighthearted, I think. Like, could we do... See, the thing about being the hero against the apocalypse is it doesn't come across as out of character for somebody like that in a piece of fiction. It's not out of character that they could imagine themselves to be in that type of situation. Who do we need? And I'm having a brain, like a little bit of I usually call them brain farts of inspiration, but okay, so you may not know this person from YouTube, but Nerdy Nummies, like the young female version of a Mr. Rogers. Oh, like that's, I mean, I I don't know how to refer to it because the only way I can really think of it is like you could do something like a motivational speaker. Somebody who's into motivational speaking ends up bound to a demon or a demoness. Oh, that could be so wacky fun. I mean, do we want it to be cutesy, new agey, like self-help guru kind of person? Or do we do a like we want it to be out of character for the person to do heroic demon hunter things. But we also want I want the story that I end up building from this to be of a type of story where like the stakes are real. You feel the drama more than you feel the comedy. That's a hard one. Okay. Let's just pull up. That's the tricky part that I'm tripping over this whole time. Let's pull up a search on high schooler stereotypes. We can do drama club. I was in drama club when I was in high school. Okay. Popular, fringe group, loners, friendship circles, athletes, nerds and geeks, punks and goths, the artists. High school cliques. You got geeks, jocks, thespians, skaters, girls, emo kids, rockers, drifters. I mean, I'm going with the idea that it would feel like it was out of character for the person to end up in the circumstances they're ending up in, where they're going to be opposing a cult and partnered with a demon. But there is a certain amount of amusement to be had from somebody who's a fan of that kind of thing. But it's sort of like, it'd be like encountering Dracula and being one of those fans of what was the series about the sparkly vampires? I don't remember. But can you imagine walking up to Dracula and go, "Oh, you're a vampire? How come you're not sparkling?" And just how annoying would you be to that character? That would be hilarious. But I don't think that's the tone I want to set for this. Like what's the right choice for that? Nerds. So, I mean, I guess the equivalent would be in Harry Potter. Do we want it to be a Ravenclaw? Like Harry Potter terms has Ravenclaw, Slytherin, Hufflepuff, and Gryffindor. Now, I'm always a little vague. It seems like Gryffindor is a catch-all, But Slytherin is ambitious and power-seeking, and Hufflepuff is caring and kind. Gryffindor is sort of like the champion archetype. Let's pull up archetypes. And then Ravenclaw is the brainy ones. Okay, character archetypes. So what do we got? Please don't pop up some audio file somewhere. That's not a viable response. Like, I know what an archetype is. I searched the word. Don't give me the word. So we've got hero, sage, sovereign, magician, the innocent. I mean, could we do somebody who's innocent? That's hard to do. Like, you're going to get to a point where, okay, the creator, the lover, the explorer, the caregiver, the jester, the rebel. No, come on, dude. Now, a lot of these are like, I don't know who's designing this stuff, but so the ruler, the creator, the sage, the innocent, the explorer, the rebel, the hero, the wizard, the jester, the regular person, the lover, the caregiver. That doesn't feel right. So, nope. The hero, the ancient, mysterious. I mean, there's got to be a character. Oh, come on. There's got to be something I'm missing. Wow, that's an unreadable file. Cool. Awesome. Yeah, that's super useful. I don't know who does what I got here. Might not be on either. It might be on a hard drive somewhere. So let's see if I got a file here all the way back out, please, to this computer. Archetypes. Oh, for pity's sake. Doing a search that ends up using a word that is... I don't know why I can't ever get something to work for me like this. Okay. Yeah, the classic looks like it's the 12-part archetype setup. But I feel like there's got to be more than that. Come on, did you get it? No, you're not done yet. Cool. Good to know that my computers are going to fail me every time I try to do something. So if we start with the idea of a character who wants to be, well, we don't know how we're starting the character off. What we want the character to end up becoming is somebody who's out of their depth and sort of ill-suited to a hero role. So, what is that? An easily scared person would be kind of funny. But again, like, we don't want to be too funny with it, because we want the character to actually be able to do heroic things. And I feel like it's an overdone thing to start with a ditz. Legally Blonde, the original Buffy was sort of a start in that direction. Was a Valley Girl played for jokes, but the TV series didn't do that. Google, could you ever return a viable result for a search, please? Okay. You're ticking me off at this point. Google has not returned a useful result this whole week. It's literally infuriating. All right, so let's try something else. Let's just, to heck with the archetype garbage that you're not going to give me anything useful. Forget character type, art deck. No, you're not. Seriously, you're still doing the search for archetype. That's awesome. I can't get you to stop. Nice. Super awesome. So, the innocent kind of character. So what I'm thinking, where it's weird that the main character is not the character I'm able to see at all. So I'm thinking along the lines of the demoness that she gets bound to. There's sort of like that idea of you come from a place where everything's gone to hell, and you're used to that being the way things have become in your life, but that's not who you were before. It's sort of like somebody in a job that but they had to work so hard to get to where they are. See, now what it's starting to sound like in my head is Futurama, where you have the cynical professional person who assigns people their career for life. And this is the very first episode of Futurama, where Leela is the consummate professional, skilled, capable, had to work hard to get. But in the encounter that they have, makes her realize that this isn't who she wants to be. This isn't what she wants to be doing with her life. And maybe this is a way to fight back against the system. So, I mean, maybe some of that attitude. But again, you have Fry, who is essentially a D person, that I don't think is what we want. Who is the character we want him to be? That character to be? Okay. Most out of depth character. Let's try something like that. Most out. Buffy was. She started out as the ditz in the movie, but in the TV series, it never really seemed like that was her thing. And the sort of person that we're going to end up with, we want the character to grow into, we want the character to end up being both a redeemer and a heroic character. So in story terms, we're looking at the possibility of somebody who starts out completely unheroic and kind of a... Okay, so here's... I'm thinking of a character from The Breakfast Club. So in The Breakfast Club, we have the jock, the nerd, the popular girl, the rebel, and then you have this sort of, the one that's referred to, I guess, as the mess. Like literally the whole, like, spoilers for The Breakfast Club if you've never seen it, but the character is in detention with a bunch of other kids, high schoolers, sitting at tables on a Saturday afternoon, and when they're all confessing why they're there, you know, I did this, I did that, I did this, and it gets to her, she says, I had nothing better to do. Figure out what else to do with herself that day. And it's not stupid, it's just weird. I think that's kind of what we want. We want this character who's mousy, doesn't talk to people very much, and the character from Breakfast Club has this big clunky purse that she steals stuff with. So like, and it's not like anything important. Like she didn't go to the store and steal something. It's just full on like, why do you have somebody else's padlock in your bag? That would be fun, and it gives us an excuse for... I can't believe it took this mousy. She's not going to confront people. She's not a fighter or a hero or you know, a champion kind of character. I think that sort of suits well. Okay, so you got this mousy weirdo with a kleptomaniac tendency. And she ends up bound to a powerful and super competent demon that's been summoned. And that binding, that connection between them means they're sort of stuck with one another, or she can summon her whenever she needs. And it's not quite being innocent, but there's a certain amount of like curiosity of the cat with less fear of the consequences of your choices than you really ought to have in those circumstances. Like full on, like you've been bound to a demon, and so you're just hanging out one day and you summon your demon so you can just crazy. Like, this is a demoness, a powerful entity from the pits of hell. Why are you summoning it to do something like paint your nails, or like probably not paint your nails because she probably doesn't care about that stuff. And it should feel demeaning for the demoness to be involved with that. It should feel like, why do I get this crazy, pathetic child who just can't take anything seriously and isn't responding in the appropriate manner to the circumstances that I address. Just like, how is this the one that I'm connected to? Brings out something in the demon. It's sort of like the idea of that person, that guy who I'm working my way through the system that I've been put into, and I will work my way to the top, and I will achieve, and I will achieve, and I will achieve. And that's his purpose in life, is to be a good worker. And then you put him in a situation isn't about going to work and coming home from work and having the standard American lifestyle. It's like really connecting with and finding something important about the person you're connecting with, and realizing that that's a valuable thing to have in your life. It can't all be work and career. So taking that kind of character arc and having that be the situation for the demoness, and you set up the main goof of a character who gets to learn that despite feeling like and thinking that they have nothing to contribute and they don't matter in the world, and being sort of feeling completely disconnected from everything, that potentially they learn to find out who they are and to express that and find their own value and make themselves a hero in their own eyes. I think that's a valuable story we could approach from that. So what's the name of the character? So I want to say it was Allie. Cast. Allie, well, I guess the actress is, oh yeah, Allie Sheedy as Allison Reynolds, the basket case. That's the character. All right, so take that character and make them the main character, sort of who is only that way because that was the only way to be in the world she came from. I guess that's sort of what we're doing. But you sort of set them up as, I guess this is a buddy cop series. This is the I don't want to say good cop, bad cop, but yeah, I mean, that's sort of what we're looking at. Not even good cop, bad cop necessarily. Like more like, what is it? The Odd Couple, I think, was the series. And anyway, so that's, I think, where we're going with it. And then I want to set it up so that the cult is trying to bring over demons to conquer the world, and they were trying to bring over the demoness to be the sort of leader or the general for their plan. And now they're sort of stuck pulling in random, like, it was a complicated, big, timed right kind of ritual to bind the demoness to the whole group, to allow them to command an army under the lead of this demoness. Only the demoness ends up bound to this basket case of a girl. And now the cult, like, in order to try to continue with their plans, they're going to have to find her, take the demoness back if they can. And in the meantime, they're going to have to summon other demons to try to achieve some of the things that they want to achieve. But without the direct leadership of the demoness, they're not going to be doing particularly well with it. And so they're sort of making a mess of the whole thing. And I guess you're going to try to, part of it would be to make the demoness feel at home on Earth and want to protect Earth from an invasion. But to have, like, are we still doing hell? Are we sure we want to do hell? Did we want to do fae? Monsters in general? That is a good question. I do like the idea of the overachiever, but no, I don't think we want to do fae. I think we want to stick with demons, but not a classical, like, Christianic demon necessarily. Maybe we want to build the backstory of where demons come from a little bit differently. Because what I'm thinking of is to rebel against the demons because they were born into a world that was hell when they were born into it. Well, maybe not when they were born into it. Maybe this is what they've all become over time. You were before you became corrupted. I'll have to think about that structure of this story. Because, I mean, as you can see here, like, yes, there is funniness and humor that I want to bring to the story, but I also want it to be a sort of a philosophical character growth story too. So I don't want it to be just all a solid goof. But if you're going to tell a deeply philosophical story about the nature of what it means to be human and whatnot, it's going to get heavy enough that some comedic relief is important. I think that's about as much as I'm going to get out of that for today. I will probably now I keep bouncing back into Toy Story maybe. So let's just briefly do a quick look through. What kinds of things can we think of that are iconic symbols of childhood? Childhood representatives. Stuffed animals, no. Maybe I have an idea here. So hang on, let's see. No, I don't know. That's not useful. But so toys we've seen video games. We've seen somebody re-engaging with their imaginary friend. That's a movie that's been done a few times. There's a part of me that wants to say candy. Okay, childhood. I mean, play and you know, for me at least, I don't know that this is something that matches up for other people, but I feel like there are two things. Okay. Okay. Here's what we need to play around with. We need to pick something out of this. But okay, so if we do a Toy Story movie or a Toy Story comic or something to that effect, or a Wreck-It Ralph kind of story, but instead of toys or video games, we can do board games. I don't know that that's a big one right there, but movies and books are two things. We don't have to necessarily do childhood. Oh, but we so could. We don't have to do childhood, but hang on. Okay, so bear with me. This is going to sound weird, but paper. Paper being the thing, like the memory, the history, the stories, the bits of our life that are paper, like the memory of paper, the life that's in paper. Oh, this was so, I mean, paper as memories, who you were or who they were at that time. That could be some really, really good stuff. And the conflict could center around, like, because papers are in being a forgotten and lost memory, is the cause of the conflict, the struggle that is currently being confronted. Oh, that is so good. And the thing is, like with paper, you don't have to just settle on a flat rectangle. I mean, you could do something along the lines of the flying carpet from Aladdin, where it's like a rectangle, but you give it expression and whatnot. You could do that, but here's the thing. I can fold all sorts of origami animals, and I can fold origami characters. And just to have that idea of these pages of memories are given life by the events that they were participating in, and then can be forgotten or left behind. Oh, this could be powerful. Ouch. Okay. I'm really digging that. The idea, and like honestly, there's a part of me feeling like I wonder if I could do this story through photography. Pictures of letters, folded origami characters in environmental backgrounds, or do like a photographic setup where I could set the stage for scenes, put them on a green screen if I have to, and then do some inlay of actual outside photography. But wow, I didn't see that one work. I feel like there's room for doing both of the, like, Toy Story has that sense of, the first Toy Story was Woody feeling like he was getting replaced as one of the more important things in his child's life. And there's that idea of finding friends in people who you first think might be your rivals, when you realize it's not a competition. It's not about who's better for the person, and more about how can we both help our person. At least that's the way I interpret the first Toy Story. As you go into other Toy Stories, it's a little bit more of the idea of what does it mean to be for somebody else? That fear, that anxiety of what it means to lose who you once were. So her inner feelings, her thoughts and whatnot are fearful about that. But I'm also trying to think of a Miyazaki film called My Neighbor Totoro. Does a really interesting job of exploring the idea of losing a little bit of something. Trying to think of other, until you're confronted by a problem that's caused by you forgetting that, and ultimately end up facing that sort of forgotten aspect and remembering with that, like, pangs of remembering. And that oh god. Okay, so there was a animated short that came out before one of Pixar's last movies, and it was called Paper, I think. And it's about like a flock of paper airplanes that help a guy connect to his love interest. And I feel like, what would the story feel like? What kind of story could you really do for people who have been in a relationship for years and feel like they're falling out of love? Feeling like man, that's gotta be a stinger. Woo! I mean, this has got a long way off course from Toy Story, but holy crap. Oh. I mean, imagine, I don't know if you've seen the movie Up with the old man. Like, it's considered at this point, that first chunk of that movie is one of the most powerfully emotional experiences you can go through in a movie, where you see that relationship and the heartbreak that they both experience. It's one of the most emotionally wrecking things to see that happen to people. But it's also one of the most beautiful demonstrations of that emotional connection between people. And to take that same idea and build that same kind of thing, but also build in a moment where, like what we're going through right now in the world, where the quarantining is forcing people to be close to each other in an environment where the loss of job, the income insecurity, the stress of being around each other all day long, when you're sort of wreck a relationship, dealing with this person on a daily basis, hour in, hour out, all day long. When they got into the relationship, they were in an environment where they weren't forced to confront each other all the time like that. So it was easy to not have to worry about the work that needs to be done to maintain a healthy and happy relationship. So, like, you could set up a story where it's like that first bit of Up, but then the magic feels like it's gone, and the stressful circumstances you find yourself crammed into sort of cloud over and make you forget those things, those letters you wrote to each other, the little note you left next to breakfast each morning for her to let her know you cared about her, kind of situations. Like those little sweet things that we all well, hopefully many of us do, to remind the people around us that we care about them. Like, we forget about those things when we're in the confrontation and the struggle of a bigger event that makes every moment we spend around each other stressed moments. And so we forget some of those little beautiful moments and those little mementos, those paper mementos. Oh, I almost want to call it paper moments. This is a really good story. Oh. And if I do it right, I can't decide whether or not I want it to be. It feels like there's aspects of it could be beneficial for doing as a movie. I don't know that I have the capability of doing it as a movie. I could start with just storyboarding it as a comic. But I can almost imagine doing it as a live action movie. I could see hiring a couple of actors to play the characters and the people they are around and the things they are doing. And the paper as puppetry, paper puppets. That could be so. I should talk to some people I know about the possibility of that. I'm flabbergasted that we did this in 15 minutes. Whereas like the Buffy reboot, that took a lot of work. But like the Buffy idea isn't as fully realized as this feels like. This is a sweet spot for this one, I think. I think that sums it up. I mean, I can't think of anything else I need to do tonight on this video. I guess we'll pick up on a new idea tomorrow. I mean, if you have a suggestion of which one we want to play with tomorrow, I'm up for it. We've got a large selection here. I think the high ones on my list are Ghostbusters, Roger Rabbit, Terminator, Gremlins. I think if I want to play with some of those, I think I want to play with one of those four. But I'm going to go see if I can start writing out some skeletal structure for paper memories or mementos. Paper moments. Paper moments. There we go. That's a crazy good idea. All right. I appreciate you sticking with me tonight. I will catch you tomorrow. And until then, take care and have a good night. And I should probably be able to go out here. I still have that file open, right? Yeah. Haha. Makes it so much easier to do this. Buenos noches. Paper moments.